If you are doing Ironman Cork or Ironman Cork 70.3 in 2023 or even in future years, this is the video for you. Why am I so confident? Well, firstly, I have a YouTube channel, so obviously I'm an expert in everything. And secondly, I did do this event last year. I did the 70.3. The course is 99% the same, so I feel like I can talk with real conviction about some course tips, some advice. Hopefully it's going to help you go faster on the day. But if I've missed anything, if I've got anything wrong, please do correct me in the comment section down below or add any other feedback you've got to the local area. But yeah, let's get stuck in. Now, firstly, Ironman Cork is actually held in the town of Youghal, and that is a lovely town. The town really embraced the event and it's really, really welcoming. So let's get stuck into the actual course. Now, the difference between the half and the full, obviously it's twice the length. Maybe watch this video twice and like and subscribe. But the swim course is both one lap. You just swim out further on the full distance. The bike course is one lap for the half, it's just 2 laps of it for the full, and the run course is 2 laps for the half and 4 laps for the full. So this should be fairly straightforward. Let's start where all good triathlons start, and that is in the swim. Now, there are lots of things to think about with the event logistics, but please read your event guide. I don't want to talk about car parks and buses and stuff because it's really boring for one, and I might get some of it wrong and you end up stranded somewhere for 2. But I would say the town is quite spread out. Plan ahead, plan where you're going to get dropped off, plan where you're going to park your car, all those sorts of things. Just plan it out and test it like on registration day. But let's get stuck into the swim. I'm also going to talk you through my stats from that day, not in any detail, but just to give some context to the advice I'm going to share. Make sense? Okay. So the swim. Now this is the half distance swim. You start and finish in different places. Transitions for both events this year is in the same place. The half distance was a split transition last year. It is not this year. So you can see here, we start here and then you'll swim out and then go left and back and finish down here, and that's where transition is. Now, the tide plays a big factor. This is a sea swim, and it plays a big factor in how the swim plays out. Now, to give you some sort of idea of this was my swim from last year. I swam 31:48 moving time, and that is a solid 2 to 2.5 minutes faster than I've swam any other middle distance swimmer for. That isn't because I tried hard, as my Strava title dictates, because I thought I did, and I did. It's because of the tide. Now, if you look at this here, so the analyzer, when you come out of the swim start, you then turn right, and this whole section up here was really slow, basically into the tide, if that's the right terminology. I averaged there 2:19 per 100 yard. That is okay, fine, but it's slower than I wanted to swim. And then when I turned left and swam all the way back to the finish, I averaged 1:14 per 100 yards. So a lot faster. Andrew Hustle-Turner, watch out. A big difference. Now, in reality, in honesty, on the day, I couldn't feel any difference. It was only when I stopped the clock that I saw that, and it was only when I analysed the swim that I saw that. I don't know how people feel, whether they're moving fast in the water or not. I just don't seem to be able to be. But my advice for this is, if the tide is the same direction, I don't know where you look at this or how you find this out, but maybe it probably is in the same direction. I'd swim quite hard for this first bit. It's just a time trial, isn't it? So if you minimise the time you spend going slowly, your average speed will be higher. Now, this isn't as easy as just freewheeling into a tailwind. You do still have to swim, but I think the logic is still there. This is the same for the full distance as well. So the full distance swim follows the same shape, it just swims out further. So you're swimming about just under 1.5K out before you turn back. I'd still say the same sort of strategy could be, you know, worthwhile doing, but I just bear in mind it is still a long way to swim, so you might not want to swim flat out for 1.5K when you've still got about 2.5K to go. Swim, right, out of there into transition. There's not really much to say from transition, to be honest. It's just a in and out, in a tent, grab your bag, grab your bike and sort of thing. And it took me 5 minutes to get in and out of transition last year, which is okay. Then onto the bike leg. So the bike course for both courses is the same, and it has changed slightly from the 2022 edition, in that the half distance in 2022 finished at the top of Windmill Hill. If you're doing Ironman Cork, you've probably heard of it. It is absolutely bonkers and it is brilliant, but it is not the end of the course anymore. Now, if this page loads, that'd be really good, but if not, I can look at my bike split on here. So that moving time is wrong. I had a nightmare every day. I snapped my chain basically and fixed it in the end, but I rode for about 2.5 hours. But let's have a look at the course. Let's start from the beginning. The first half, now this depends on the wind direction as well, but it's rolling toughest. It's no harder than rolling. It is quite flat, but there are quite a lot of twisty and technical sections. Particularly here, this area down here is really twisty, and it makes you keep your wits about you because there's a really low wall to that sea. So if you overcook it on a corner and go into one of those walls, you are definitely getting wet. Now, in terms of pacing, I would think of several things. I'll think about the wind direction. So on the day I did it, I think it was a tailwind out that way and then a headwind back in. So I tried to ride easy for the first half and then push on to the second half. And that strategy seemed to work well. It also helps out if you're not on your best day, then you've not overcooked it in the first half. And I'd pay particular attention to these two climbs. So this one here and that one there. If I go to my analysis tab, I also don't have the KOM anymore from the start to halfway. Tom Rigby absolutely destroyed it after I uploaded that. Thanks, Tom. So here we've got a couple of climbs on the way back in. Now this one here took me 8 minutes and 40 seconds to get up. I know that I did about 310 watts to get up there, and I'm about 90 kilos, and I was about 90 kilos when I did this. And then the second one was a little bit shorter. I think it was about, same sort of thing, about 8 minutes. There's a little climb in the middle there. So essentially, after halfway, you've got two significant climbs, then one that's about 2.5, 3 minutes, depending on how fast you're riding. I would definitely save some gas for that second half. That is where big differences can be made. So in that first half, for example, versus people in my age group, I was very competitive. But then even on like that climb, for example, I'd lost 30 seconds to my age group leaders on that 8-minute climb. It's a big difference. If you're just out there to complete the day rather than compete, I'd still have the same sort of strategy. I'd be saving some gas to get up those climbs, and so that you're not already empty when you get there, especially if you're doing the full thing. On that second lap, when you are, 85 miles into the course, if you've blown up by then, it's going to be difficult to get over those two climbs. They're not steep. I think they peak at about 4 or 5%, but that is steep if you have gone out too hard and if you're feeling it, isn't it? So I definitely think about that. It's obviously less concerning for the half than it is for the full, but yeah. Coming back into Ewell, it is a lovely little run in. There's a few rolling sections, a net downhill on the way back, so it is okay. But when I did it, there was a headwind on the way back, so it did just neutralise it a little bit. And then right at the end, you come up to Windmill Hill. Now this is so steep. This is about 20%, if not a little bit more. And it was, I think the fastest guy up it was Tom Rigby. I think he rode about 1.5 minutes. I was like maybe 2.5, 3 minutes, I don't know. But it was steep. Now it's crazy in terms of support, so you're unlikely to not be able to get up it, but I would definitely consider your gearing, and I'd definitely consider pacing, and in fact your plan for the climb. Have a look at it in the days leading up to the race. It is okay to get off your bike. If you think you're going to come to a standstill, you're better making that decision rather than having the decision made for you. And actually, the people that were walking and pushing the bikes weren't going that much slower, if at all, than people who were riding. I had, and I still have, a 58 tooth front chainring and 1130 on the back. Now that's not a flex. I do some time trialing, and most of my triathlons aren't up 20% hills, so that's what the gearing's for. I just got up it, like by the skin of my teeth, or absolutely on the ragged edge got up it. If I was doing more of this sort of thing, or if I was perhaps doing the full distance, I would put some lighter gearing on. I'd get a 2x chain set or a smaller chain ring or something, because it is that steep, but I would really give it some thought. And if you can ride it before race day, ride it, but don't let it scare you. It is very steep, but as I say, worst case scenario, you get off your bike, you push it a little bit, and then you're back on again. This year, it doesn't finish at the top there where my end finishes. You actually continue going left, so where I get my little green dot, blue dot there, you go straight on, and then down that road, down to there, and then left, or right down to the front, some way basically back to transition down there. So after that climb, if you're doing both, you're going to have 2 or 3 minutes or a bit more of freewheeling or VZ riding. So don't worry about it as much. When we did the half, you get up there, you got to the top, you ditch your bike in transition, then you're straight running again. So that was difficult. But yeah, on the whole, the bike course is lovely. If you get a chance to recce some of it, please do. Particularly the first part of it is faster. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. The surfaces are okay. In places it is rough, but it's like that everywhere where I seem to ride. There are some rough sections. Make sure your bottles are secure, make sure your tyres and tubes and whatever are good, make sure you've got spares, and make sure you're ready to complete the day, because to finish first you've got to finish. Now I rode my Training Peak stats, I'm not going to start shouting about them, I rode just under 2.5 hours, about 270 watts to give you some sort of gauge, and I'm 90 odd kilos, and I'm in a fairly refined TT position, but I'm by no means damn big and aero. T2, it's not really worth looking at because it's in a different place, about a couple of minutes. And then the run. Now, the run course is quite well supported. The supporters are brilliant. People live on the course that had sprinklers out last year when it was really warm. This is, again, the first mile is different, so you'll be starting down near there somewhere, not at that beginning bit, so I think the out and backs are a bit longer. But the half is essentially 2 laps of this, so an out and back, an out and back, out and back, and back into the centre of Yule. It's fairly flat. There are a couple of ever so slight inclines, but when you're tired, it feels like it's more of a hill than it is. But it's quite a fast course. You can see here my pacing was fairly even because you can see there the gradient change isn't massive, other than that first mile that was downhill, which we now don't have. It's for pacing purposes, I'd say it's a flat course. There we go, and well supported. Tips for the run course. I guess don't go out too hot if it is, and that's the case for any event really. If it is warm on the day, or if you've suffered on the bike a little bit, if you've not on top of your nutrition, don't go out too fast. It is a long way, even if you're doing the half, and keep going and soak up the support and enjoy it. And I think that is about it. There's not really much more I can say for the run course. You want to see a little picture of me running? There you go. So yeah, looking forward to getting out there. Looking forward to soaking it up. Looking forward to having a great race. Hope you are too. Please do feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in Ireland in a couple of weeks.